Heidi Klum is bearing her truth after facing backlash for posing alongside her 21-year-old daughter Lenny Klum in several lingerie campaigns for Intimissimi. The supermodel defended her decision to team up with her firstborn for the photo shoot.
For decades, Heidi Klum has dazzled the world with her beauty, success, and seemingly perfect life. From supermodel stardom to television fame, she appeared to have it all, until the truth behind the glamour began to unravel.
Heidi Klum reportedly split from husband Seal back in January because of his explosive temper, but he recently fired back with accusations that she'd been cheating on him with her bodyguard, Martin Kirsten.
Now, at 52, a series of devastating personal battles and emotional struggles has come to light, revealing a pain few ever imagined she carried. So what really happened to the woman once hailed as unstoppable? The heartbreaking reality behind Heidi Klum's story will leave you stunned. Heidi Klum's journey through judgment and joy. In 2019, whispers of a midlife crisis began circling Heidi Klum once again. But this time, the narrative took a new twist. The supermodel had recently married Tom Kaulitz, the guitarist from Tokyo Hotel, and the couple seemed to be basking in the warmth of their love. During one of their romantic trips, Klum shared several intimate photos from their getaway, carefree, sun-drenched moments that reflected her happiness and confidence. But among the stream of admiration that poured in, a different wave began to rise. One particular image, showing Klum topless, relaxed, and smiling, became the spark that reignited the old criticisms. "All I see is a midlife crisis," one commenter sneered under her Instagram post. Another wrote, "She's getting old and trying too hard to hold on." What was meant to be a celebration of love and self-expression quickly turned into a public debate about age, beauty, and the right of women to feel desirable past 40. Part of the fascination, or rather fixation, stemmed from the couple's age gap. Klum was 16 years older than Kaulitz, a difference that the public seemed unwilling to overlook. To some, their relationship was daringly romantic. To others, it was an easy target for judgment. Yet amid the noise, Heidi refused to shrink or apologize for her joy. She had already made her stance clear the previous year in an interview with InStyle. "You have to just live a happy life without worrying too much about what people think," she said, smiling in that knowing, unbothered way that had become her signature. Because worrying is only going to give you more wrinkles. Still, even a thick skin can grow tired of constant poking. Eventually, Klum decided to turn off the comment section entirely, not out of defeat, but as an act of peace. "I'll keep posting what makes me feel good," she seemed to say through her actions. The silence of filtered-out opinions became her shield, though it didn't completely stop the criticism. On other platforms, people continued their commentary, dissecting her choices and questioning her dignity. By 2024, the conversation hadn't cooled. "People still make fun of me for dressing sexy at 50, she confessed to Glamour Germany. Her words carried both strength and fatigue, the quiet exhaustion of a woman who had spent decades being defined by the world's gaze, yet still refused to be caged by it. The accusations weren't limited to social media. In 2022, a Medium article by Veronica Kaufman reignited the midlife crisis narrative, cloaked in feminist rhetoric. Kaufman argued that Klum's constant display of her body and youthful image defeats the purpose and throws progress for women out the door. Instead of posting bikini shots or lingerie photos, Kaufman suggested, Klum should use her platform more altruistically, perhaps by mentoring young models or focusing on the professional side of the industry. But that critique missed the deeper point. For Klum, self-expression wasn't about proving youth. It was about preserving joy, a defiant, unapologetic kind of joy that doesn't ask permission. After decades of scrutiny in an industry obsessed with perfection, she had learned that authenticity can be its own rebellion. Her story isn't simply one of a woman fighting aging, it's about a woman redefining it. Where critics see desperation, she sees freedom. Where others talk about crisis, she talks about confidence. At 50, Heidi Klum isn't clinging to her past, she's expanding her present. And while the world continues to debate her choices, she keeps doing what she's always done best, smiling for the camera, on her own terms, in her own time. Did Heidi Klum's heartbreaking tragedy include betrayal? How did she find herself in such a mess? Let's delve into the details of the untold story of Heidi Klum and Flavio Briatore. Love, betrayal, and redemption. Heidi Klum's love life has been marked by glamour, passion, and heartbreak. Her first marriage to stylist Rick Pipino lasted 5 years, during which she evolved from a promising German model into an emerging international star. Though their split was quiet, it fueled her determination to focus on her career. Soon after, she began dating Flavio Briatore, a wealthy Italian businessman and Formula One executive. Their relationship dazzled the public with luxury and excitement, but behind the scenes it was troubled. While pregnant with their daughter Lenny in 2004, reports of Briatore's infidelity surfaced, turning rumors into public scandal. The romance ended abruptly, marking another emotional turning point in Klum's journey through fame, love, and resilience. For Heidi, the betrayal was crushing. Her aunt, speaking to the Sunday Mirror as cited by British Vogue, revealed the depth of her niece's pain. "She is absolutely devastated," she said, her own anger evident. The aunt didn't hold back her fury toward Briatore either. "I'll never know what she was doing with such an old has-been," she added bitterly. A sharp public jab that reflected how hurt the family felt by the way things had ended. And yet, life has a way of surprising us when we least expect it. Around the same time that her relationship with Briatore fell apart, Heidi crossed paths with the man who would change her life, the British singer Seal. Their connection was almost instant. Seal not only stood by her during her pregnancy, but embraced her unborn child as his own. When Lenny was born, he was there, not as a spectator, but as a loving partner ready to step into the role of a father. Their bond grew stronger over time, so much so that Seal later adopted Lenny officially. As for Briatore, his role faded into the background. Living thousands of miles away, he remained more of a distant figure than a presence in his daughter's life. "We used to speak on the phone 2 hours a day, but it wasn't enough," he later told Corriere della Sera in 2016, as reported by the Daily Mail. The distance, both emotional and physical, had taken its toll. For years, he and Lenny barely saw each other in person, and when they finally reconnected, she was already an adult, mature enough to define their relationship on her own terms. Still, time softens even the deepest wounds. In a twist that no one saw coming, 2 decades after their painful breakup, Heidi and Briatore managed to find a new kind of connection, one not built on romance but on respect and business. In October 2024, the media was stunned to learn that Klum had joined hands with her former lover as a business partner. Briatore, known for his global chain of crazy pizza restaurants, welcomed Heidi as a collaborator for the brand's New York City venture. It was a full-circle moment, a quiet reminder that people evolve, and that even from heartbreak, unexpected partnerships can bloom. Where once there was bitterness, there was now professionalism. And while their story had started with betrayal and tears, it now seemed to close with maturity, forgiveness, and a shared vision. Proof that life's chapters, however painful, can sometimes end with surprising grace. Heidi Klum's story, like many of life's most compelling ones, isn't just about love and loss. It's about resilience, about finding beauty after betrayal, healing after heartbreak, and strength in moving forward. Did Heidi Klum's marriage with Seal compensate for her loss in her previous marriage? Did it end in the same story? Let's dive into the details of the real story of Heidi Klum and Seal's broken union behind the glamour. After their fairy tale 2005 wedding, Heidi Klum and Seal quickly became one of Hollywood's most admired couples, radiant, romantic, and deeply devoted. They famously renewed their vows every year, a tradition Seal said reminded them that love must be chosen daily. But behind the glamour, their marriage began to fracture. By 2012, after 7 years together, they announced their separation. leaving fans shocked. Reports later hinted at growing tension, with Seal's temper straining the relationship. Heidi offered few details, but in an interview with Elle, she likened her experience to being in the eye of the tornado, calm on the outside, yet surrounded by emotional chaos. What once seemed like an unshakable love story had quietly unraveled, revealing the painful reality that even the most beautiful unions can struggle under the weight of human imperfection. But the emotional whirlwind didn't end there. Not long after their separation became public, Heidi was spotted with Martin Kirsten, her longtime bodyguard, a man who had worked closely with their family for years. The news hit the tabloids like wildfire, and Seal's reaction was instant and sharp. He accused Heidi of moving on too quickly, noting that their divorce wasn't even finalized. His frustration spilled into the media. Speaking to TMZ, he expressed disappointment that she didn't, in his words, show a little more class by waiting until the process was complete before fornicating with the help. His words were raw, bitter, and clearly fueled by heartbreak and resentment. The divorce itself stretched on for 2 long years, but even when the legal papers were finally signed, the emotional and parental struggles continued. Both stars were determined to be active, loving parents, but differing views on how to raise their children often reignited old tensions. In 2020, the conflict took another turn. Heidi was set to film a major TV project in Germany and wanted to take her children along. Seal, however, was worried about the ongoing pandemic and the possibility that the kids might not be able to return to the US as easily as planned. What should have been a simple family discussion soon escalated into another legal matter. This time, even their eldest daughter, Heidi Klum, found herself drawn into the situation. In court documents, she explained how the children felt caught in the middle, torn between 2 parents they loved but who couldn't seem to find common ground. The story of Heidi Klum and Seal is more than a celebrity breakup. It's a reminder that love, fame, and good intentions aren't always enough to shield a marriage from human flaws and emotional storms. What once looked like a perfect union slowly became a painful lesson in how passion can fade, tempers can flare, and even the most glamorous lives can be shaken by heartbreak. For the world, it was another Hollywood love story gone wrong. For Heidi and Seal, it was a private war between love and pain, one that left scars deeper than anyone outside their home could ever see. More heartbreaking is the fact that Heidi Klum was still betrayed after her divorce from Seal. Who broke her heart this time around? Was she able to mend the shattered pieces of her heart afterwards? Let's dig into the details of the hidden scars of Heidi Klum. When love betrays you. By early 2014, reports emerged that Heidi Klum's relationship with her former bodyguard, Martin Kirsten, had ended, leaving her caught in emotional turmoil as her divorce from Seal lingered. Insiders claimed Heidi was spiraling, drinking heavily, acting rudely, and facing a midlife crisis. Rumors accused her of neglecting her children while focusing on a new relationship with Vito Schnabel, a young and enigmatic art dealer. For a while, Heidi and Vito seemed inseparable, appearing at events and vacations that painted a picture of renewed love. Yet by mid-2017, cracks began to show. Paparazzi captured Vito in what appeared to be an intimate moment with another woman, sparking a fresh wave of gossip and betrayal rumors. Though he dismissed the encounter as innocent, the damage was done. The glamorous fairy tale that once looked like Heidi's second chance at love now seemed to be quietly unraveling under the harsh glare of fame. Vito Schnabel was quick to deny the rumors, telling People magazine that the incident had been blown out of proportion. "I was simply saying goodnight to a family friend," he said calmly, trying to put out the fire. But once doubt sets in, it's hard to erase, especially in the glare of the public eye. Just a few months later, in September 2017, Heidi and Vito officially called it quits. Heidi stayed quiet about the breakup. No interviews, no explanations. But years later, her guard dropped. During a candid conversation on the Call Her Daddy podcast in January 2024, she spoke openly about betrayal. Without naming names, Her voice carried both pain and strength as she revealed, "I had a relationship. Cheated on me for 4 years straight from the very beginning to the very end. All the time, until I found out the revelation was chilling. Not just for its honesty, but for the vulnerability it showed from a woman so used to smiling for the cameras." Heidi explained how she had accidentally stumbled upon the truth. "I had the opportunity to go into the emails, which I'd never done," she said. What she found confirmed every uneasy feeling she had brushed aside for years. Every late reply, every vague excuse, every fleeting doubt suddenly made painful sense. That betrayal, she admitted, left a deep scar. It changed how she saw love and herself. Even as time moved on and she found new happiness, a shadow lingered. She confessed that the experience made her fearful of trusting again, always wondering if history would repeat itself. Behind the glamour and confidence that millions admired, Heidi Klum had quietly battled heartbreak after heartbreak, the kind of pain that doesn't show up on red carpets or in glossy magazines. From the outside, she was the unshakable supermodel, confident, radiant, unstoppable. But behind that image was a woman who had been hurt deeply, who had loved sincerely, and who had learned, often the hard way, that even the most beautiful lives can hide the deepest cracks. In the end, Heidi's story is not just one of fame and fashion, but of resilience. It's about the woman who faced public scrutiny, personal betrayal, and emotional exhaustion, yet continued to rise, smile, and live fully. Her heart may have been tested, but it never stopped believing in love, even when love betrayed her. Why does Heidi Klum's heartbreaking tragedy look so complex? Has she been used to it from childhood? What were her early years like? Let's talk about how a small-town girl transformed into Heidi Klum. The day everything changed. Heidi Klum's story begins far from the bright lights of New York or the glamour of Paris, in a quiet, picturesque town called Bergisch Gladbach, just outside Cologne, in what was then West Germany. It was a peaceful place where cobblestone streets wound through old neighborhoods and families lived simple, structured lives. Heidi grew up there, never imagining that one day her name would echo across continents, attached to global fashion campaigns and television fame. Her family lived modestly, but with a sense of creativity running deep in their home. Her mother, Erna Klum, worked as a hairdresser, spending her days chatting with clients and transforming ordinary looks into something fresh and beautiful. Her father, Gunther Klum, was a cosmetics company executive with an eye for presentation and detail. Together, they nurtured a home where beauty, precision, and self-expression blended naturally, a foundation that would quietly shape Heidi's journey long before anyone knew her name. In her teenage years, Heidi wasn't chasing stardom. She was an ordinary girl, going to school, laughing with friends, and occasionally flipping through glossy fashion magazines without ever imagining she could belong in them. Her dream was modest, to study fashion design and perhaps work behind the scenes, sketching outfits instead of wearing them. Modeling wasn't on her radar, not even close. But fate, as it often does, had other plans. It all began with a simple suggestion from a friend, the kind of offhand remark that changes everything. One afternoon, that friend urged her to enter Model 92, a nationwide modeling competition in Germany. Heidi hesitated. Competing against thousands of beautiful girls from across the country seemed impossible, almost ridiculous. Still, her friend wouldn't take no for an answer. With a mix of reluctance and curiosity, she sent in her photos, never truly expecting what would follow. The competition drew an overwhelming 25,000 contestants, a sea of faces and dreams. Yet from the very beginning, there was something striking about Heidi. It wasn't just her looks, though her tall frame, bright smile, and confident poise stood out immediately. It was her warmth, the natural, effortless energy she carried, which made her seem approachable even under the spotlight. When the final votes were tallied on April 29, 1992, it was her name that echoed through the air. Heidi Klum, the winner of Model 92. The victory came with more than just applause. She was offered a modeling contract worth $300,000 by Thomas Zoomer, the CEO of Metropolitan Models New York, one of the most respected names in the global fashion industry. It was an offer most aspiring models could only dream of, the golden ticket to the world stage. Overnight, Heidi Klum, the small-town girl from Bergisch Gladbach, had been handed the keys to an entirely new life. Following her win, Heidi was invited to appear on Gottschalk Late Night, a popular German television show hosted by Thomas Gottschalk. For the first time, millions of viewers saw the girl behind the title, smiling, radiant, and still a little overwhelmed by her sudden fame. She handled the spotlight with surprising ease, her charm shining through the television screen. Even then, she seemed like someone who belonged in front of the camera, though she herself hadn't realized it yet. Despite the glittering opportunity, Heidi didn't rush into the modeling world immediately. She was still finishing school, determined to complete her education before chasing big city dreams. After graduation, she made a decision that would change everything. Instead of pursuing an apprenticeship at a fashion design school, as she had once planned, she accepted the modeling contract. It was a leap of faith, a step from comfort into the unknown. Looking back, that moment marked the true beginning of Heidi Klum's transformation, from a shy German teenager to a global icon. What started as a friend's simple encouragement had turned into the first spark of an extraordinary journey, one that would soon carry her far from her quiet hometown into the dazzling heart of international fame. So, do you think Heidi Klum would be able to overcome her heartbreaking tragedy? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.